I am honored to announce your promotion to Brigadier General.
The sound of metals clinking echoed faintly beneath the vaulted ceiling. Every soldier stood at rigid attention, the air heavy with discipline and tension. In the center of the stage stood Captain Elena Ward, her uniform pristine, her eyes fixed forward. She'd earned this moment, the culmination of years of hardship, loss, and sacrifice. But across from her, glaring with an anger that barely hid behind a smirk, was General Marcus Steele, a man whose pride had always outweighed his sense of justice. He took a step toward her, voice sharp as steel. "You don't belong here, Captain," he hissed under his breath. "Not in front of me." Elena's chest rose, steady and defiant. The ceremony crowd began to murmur. What no one expected, what none could prepare for, was the moment his hand twitched upward, as if to strike her. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening." The hall froze. 1,000 eyes watched as the general's fingers hovered midair. Time stretched thin, a fragile thread about to snap. Then, from behind the podium, the commanding officer, Admiral Reeves, stepped forward. His voice boomed through the silence, steady, unshaken. "General Steele," he said, every syllable heavy with command. "Stand down. Effective immediately. She outranks you." The room erupted, gasps, murmurs, the sound of shock rippling through ranks of uniforms. Steele's hand dropped, his face blanching as if the ground itself had betrayed him. Elena didn't move. Not yet. She simply looked up, the faintest glimmer of disbelief and sorrow in her eyes, because she hadn't come here for power. She'd come to prove herself, not to destroy someone else's pride. 3 weeks earlier, the air at Fort Branson had been thick with rumors. A mysterious promotion. A returning officer. No one knew her name, only that someone was being reinstated after a classified mission overseas. Elena had been gone for years, presumed lost in the wreckage of a failed operation that had cost lives, including the lives of men Steele had personally commanded. When she returned, the whispers grew sharper. "She's just a captain," someone muttered near the mess hall. "How could she possibly deserve a commendation like that?" "She must have had help," another voice replied. "Or secrets." Elena heard them. Every word. But she didn't respond. Her days were quiet, her work precise. Yet under that calm exterior, a storm brewed. She had watched men die. She had carried survivors out of burning wreckage with her bare hands. And the report that had followed, the one Steele had signed, blamed her. Now, she was here to face it. To clear her name. The morning of the ceremony dawned with a pale golden light. Flags rippled across the courtyard, boots struck in rhythm on polished stone, and the scent of gun oil and starch filled the air. The band began to play as Elena stepped forward. Every rank and stripe stood watching. Steele among them, chin lifted high, eyes cold, when Admiral Reeves called her name. Elena took a slow breath. "Captain Elena Ward," he began, voice echoing through the speakers, "has displayed valor beyond measure and leadership under fire. For actions classified under Operation Emberfall, this command hereby promotes her to—" He paused, deliberately. The silence was electric. "Rear Admiral." The crowd gasped. Steele's jaw locked. His hand curled into a fist at his side. For a moment, Elena thought he might simply walk away. But he didn't. Instead, he stepped closer, his voice low and sharp enough for those in the front rows to hear. "You think this changes anything?" He growled. "You think a piece of paper erases failure?" Elena turned toward him, eyes steady. "No," she said softly. "But it reveals truth." That was when he lost control. His voice rose. "You're a disgrace to every man who died that day." He raised his hand, anger shaking through every muscle, and that was the moment Admiral Reeves intervened. The air cracked like thunder. "General Steele." Every soldier stiffened. Rear Admiral Ward is your superior officer as of this morning's order. You will stand down, salute, and remember your place." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a heartbeat. Then, slowly trembling with disbelief, Marcus Steele raised his hand in a salute. Elena returned it. Not out of triumph, but of duty. Of grace. When the crowd dispersed, whispers followed her down the hallway. Some were proud. Some were stunned. But one voice, that of Lieutenant Harris, a young recruit she'd once mentored, followed her into the quiet. "Ma'am," he said, stopping her near the corridor. Everyone saw what happened. "You could have humiliated him, and you didn't." Elena turned, her eyes tired but kind. "Harris," she said softly, "rank doesn't give you the right to forget who you are." He nodded, silent for a moment. "Is it true?" he asked. "That you saved his unit during Emberfall?" Elena's gaze flickered, a memory flashing across her mind. Smoke, screams, the heat of the desert night. She remembered dragging Steele from the wreckage, his uniform scorched, his breath shallow. She remembered hearing his voice when he woke, asking who had pulled him out. She never told him. She never needed to. "Yes," she said finally. "It's true." Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the barracks, Steele stood alone on the parade ground. The wind tugged at his coat. The sound of the flag snapping in the wind was the only thing breaking the silence. He didn't hear her approach until she spoke. "You shouldn't be out here alone," Elena said gently. He didn't turn. "You should have let me face the consequences of Emberfall. It was my command that failed." "No," she said quietly. "It was a storm. No one controlled it. Not you. Not me." He looked at her then, really looked at her. The woman he'd spent years resenting had once saved his life, and now she'd been placed above him. But what he saw in her eyes wasn't victory. It was empathy. He exhaled slowly. "You could have ended my career today." "I didn't want to end anything," she replied. "I just wanted the truth to stand." For a long moment, neither spoke. The air between them shifted, no longer sharp with rivalry, but heavy with something human. When he finally saluted her again, it wasn't forced. It was respect. In the weeks that followed, the base began to change. Rumors quieted. The tone softened. Men and women began to speak Elena's name not with suspicion, but pride. She walked the same halls she once feared to tread, her steps steady, her gaze forward. Where hostility once lingered, now there was acknowledgement, even admiration, and yet, she never boasted. Each morning, she passed the memorial wall, the names etched in black stone. She stopped there often, running her fingers over the names of those lost during Emberfall. Among them, Captain Daniel Reeve, her brother. The reason she had never stopped fighting for truth. As she stood there one morning, Admiral Reeves approached quietly beside her. "You did well," he said. She didn't look away from the wall. "They deserved more." "They got it," he said softly. "Through you."